Alright, ending the day, another green day today. Only took one execution today. Tried to be disciplined, but that resulted in me executing less, and that is fine. The price action wasn't the cleanest today, and I admittedly did not force any trades because I didn't want a repeat of yesterday or Monday. So I ended up only taking one trade, one position. It was a win. Got stopped on the runner, and that's where I call it a day. So looking at this, we are pretty much a little bit higher than we were yesterday. We are currently green on the month, but let me show you. So these are just partials from the buys that I had from yesterday, and partially managing the trade from the execution today. So today I only made $194. So this was the execution today. You know, going into the market from where we closed yesterday, I knew we would have went higher. It's just how we delivered there was the main thing. So we ended up with a bullish candle. We traded down to almost basically 50% of this wick here, yesterday's wick, and then we ended up just running up, taking previous daily high from early, and we almost took, this would have been Monday's high. So I'm thinking tomorrow we will continue up back into all-time highs. Hopefully I can secure a good enough entry to participate on that PO3 going further up. So expecting us ideally tomorrow to maybe trade back down into this week or even into this candle and then continuing up. I know we're going probably just continue up at least into this level, running this high, then this level, and then see if we can break through this order block on the daily time frame from last week. So that is how we are planning out the rest of the week. So we had Nvidia earnings not too long ago, and the numbers were okay, but let us see how Wall Street reacts to it in the overnight session with the futures, and also tomorrow during the main session. So like I said, that is NAS 100 and US 500. Pretty much the same thing. We traded a bit deeper, and we did in fact take previous daily high as well as Tuesday's high. We traded into this daily CB fair value gap right there. On US 30, stronger move, took out previous daily high, took out Tuesday's high, and see we gone in for, we actually took out even last week Friday's high, and looks like we want to go back to these highs. That is the previous weekly high, and it's behaving a bit stronger than Nasdaq and S&P 500. So that is it on the higher time frame. The 1 hour, this is how we look. Still a market maker buy model here, but the delivery isn't ideal. The delivery isn't as clean as I would have liked it. So we traded down into this level here. Well, this is where we traded down into. This is from last night, and then we ended up coming, it ended up coming up like this. Now this is where I took my entry last night, and then we ended up pushing up. Then we ended up pulling back into this fair value gap and pushing up again. So yeah, man. So like I said, I did not like the delivery today. So The best entry came inside of here, but it actually took me out. But the better entry would have been from last night during the latter part of Asia and going into London. We ended up manipulating, coming back into this fair value gap. I thought this candle would have held, and this is where I took my entry. And I caught this move into the previous daily high. So this is previous daily high that we ended up taking. So PDH ended up taking it there, and we ended up selling back off again for another Judas swing, taking out this low and tapping into this 1 hour fair value gap. No, I would have loved to have been a part of this move, but I didn't like the delivery. I was a bit distracted, to be honest, and that is how I missed that. But it was a little bit out of the macro window, and I will show you when I go down to the lower time frame. So, going down to now 15 minutes time frame, this is how we look. So, nice accumulation market maker buy model. So this was the sell side of the curve, and we had the turn here, break above. We had a break above here, market structure shift, then we ended up inducing these highs. Then we ended up coming down. These are all engineered highs. Then we come back into this nice little OB right there, and this is from Asia. This entry is from Asia and London right there. Then this morning in New York we got the entry from right here, you know. But I did not like how we deliver. We came down and run these highs, these lows, and this week here was a bit aggressive. It was 100 point spike after it came down, and then we ended up taking out the previous daily high and running up to this level right here. Now I'm going to show you how I executed today, the one trade that I took. So this was a partial that I took from yesterday. I set a partial TP right at previous daily high, and then I took another one up here. Now this was a position. I still have like $11 floating, which is not much. Not much, but this execution right here. So what I was thinking, what I was looking at here is that we ended up, come on, alright, so let me zoom in. So what was my thought process right here? What I was thinking is that this was the Judas swing to go higher. So 9:30 open came right inside of here. We ended up just running up, and then we came all the way down. I waited, and then I executed right here. So we had taken the liquidity, and I was looking at that 1 hour order block that we came into. Now I could see it over here on the PO3 candles, but I can't replay on MT5, so I can't even show you that. So we ended up executing right here. Honestly, I was a bit shaken and I didn't want to take another big loss, so I took like 2 lots here. By the time I prepped the magic keys and entered, I wish I had risked more, being as this is the only move that I caught, you know. I wish I had risked maybe like a 0.5%, you know. But that's what happens when sometimes you follow your rules and you don't, sometimes you don't follow your rules, because that caused me to be a bit hesitant, and that's why I just cut the risk. This move ended up playing out for about 120 pies, which is more than enough. So we ended up running up. I was only looking for buys, so I did not engage in this sell opportunity right here, and I got stopped out on 0.5 like that I had left at break even there. Now Like I said, these candles are very aggressive. So we ended up coming back down, and this is the 10 o'clock open right here. So this 10 a.m. open, and we did a further manipulation and clear out all of these um, sell stops and buy limits that we might have had here. So anybody trying to catch or enter too early like myself would have getting take note here. Now, sometimes 10 o'clock give you a better trade than that. You know, I would have possibly tried to long here, but I was already in, so I did not take this entry. And then now, when I'm looking at the 10, I love to see the 10 manipulate first, but usually it happens within the macro, and this happened a little bit half after. So the correlations are a bit off, and that is how we react. So this candle is the one that kind of just messed things up, because we did a further Judas Swing, and it's a valid, a clean PO3 when you look at the 4 hour. So from the open here, manipulating down, coming back up, and then manipulating down again, this would have been a beautiful inversion or a change in the state of delivery right here on the 1 minute, or maybe on the 5 minute, all the way up here. I could have tried too long, but when I was looking at this, I was saying this is too big of a range for me. That's what I was thinking. So this candle is literally 100 points. From the top here, coming all the way down, I did not just want to jump in. So this is 120 points and about 70 from here. It was outside of the macro window, and I didn't want to jump in and risk getting pulled back into here. But I should have just taken an entry inside of here, and I would have been able to catch all of this push going on. So I end up getting stopped out, and I did not re-enter. Now looking back in hindsight, this was another entry here outside of the macro, and this was also another entry here. We had a test of this OB, another test there, and we ended up just pushing up. 11, no clean pullback either, and we ended up pushing up same way. And running the highs there, and when we end up running these highs, I just end up just taking out another partial, and I did not engage for the rest of the day. By the time we got into lunchtime, we had that change here, so we had a breakdown, change, market structure shift, and we had a fair value gap that we rejected from, and then started to come down. Then I wasn't interested in any sales, so that is the reason why I did not try to capitalize on that move. So I wasn't interested in the sales, and I did not participate. I was watching right throughout, and I saw all of this pullback. I wanted to catch the buys, but by the time we got over here, it was ahead of the news, and I didn't like the price action. Like, we were moving a little bit sporadic and not really trending. So I decided to just avoid. We could have capitalized here, but I just decided, you know what, let me just call it a day. But we ended up moving sideways and trending up, which is a slow grind, and I'm still not used to that yet. So that is how we ended up closing this 4 hour and pushing all the way up. Now we had Nvidia earnings, and this is it caused this volatility right here. But that is how we ended up playing out. That is how we ended up executing. And like I said, that is what just stopped me out. I wanted a good push. Honestly, I wanted at least a 0.5% to 1% today. But it did not deliver how I liked. And I just fumbled right here. Because looking at this, I could have entered with a wider stop. Even a one lot, then I could have caught maybe another 200 points to the highs here, and that would have resulted in, so this is 300 points to the highs actually. This could have resulted in my 0.5%, but I did not execute. I just did not execute. So that is how today played out. There were opportunities, but like I said, not the cleanest. I don't like the price action like this. But if it was like over here, during this would have been London to London going into Asia, going into London, if it was like this, it would have been a beautiful entry from one of these entries here. But that is how we end today's video. You know, it's really a psychology issue, you know, because I hesitated, I sized down, and I did not want, I was just trying to avoid the loss. So I was trying to control the outcome, and that is the result. But I'm glad I did not do anything stupid, and it is fine to take trades like that or leave trades like that. So, yeah, that is where we leave things today. Until tomorrow, let's us see the delivery what that we get from Thursday and wrap up the week. So until next time, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for subscribing. This journey has been going on for a little while now. So you can always go back to the previous videos and see how we executed. But that is it for today. Peace.